Alright folks, today we're talking elevators and small spaces, filming in them, lighting, and just some simple ways around making them look not too bad with a small amount of budget and crew really. So let's get into this scene right here. So this sequence here is from a bigger project, but I just want to talk about this elevator part of it because it's pretty funny and interesting and I think you might get something out of it. And this was filmed in a studio with a set. I've actually used this set on a few shoots before and I was around when they were designing and building it, so I was able to have a bit of a say in the design of it. The two main things I requested in it was dark walls and this diffused opal ceiling, so we could push our film lights through it from the top. So looking through loads of references from other movies, you can see it's pretty hard to make a small space like that look interesting. In the context of a movie, it's okay because it's usually just a quick scene and then you're on to the next one. And you don't really realize how flat the shot is. But if you're doing a commercial or a music video with lots of shots in there, you want to try and make it look good. Or it can end up just being a person standing in front of a flat wall. And there's only one or two ways where the light can come from really. Above, usually using a soft source, or practical lights on the walls built into the set. I like the look of this one from the Goldfinch. It's a soft top light, but it's still coming from the background towards the camera. And also this one Hoyter shot from this Apple commercial. And you can see why Deakins and Hoyter have the best looking ones. The subject is pulled close to the camera, the light is coming from the back as much as possible, and there's some contrast and shape, and as much layers as well as you can get in an elevator. So we tried to use a similar approach with the lighting on this one. So the ceiling of the set is made of these opal grid diffused squares, and we've boomed the panel light over the top and placed it around the back to keep some shadow and contrast on the front side. And for anyone interested, the light that's over the top of the lift is this Intelitech Mega Light Cloth 3 by 4.5 feet foldable light mat. It's just a big, thin, lightweight, soft, fairly cheap light that I've used on a few shoots and it's been pretty good. Then for this light on his face, we removed one of the top panels and from the outside of the set shined in a 300D with a spotlight through the top, hitting the wooden coloured wall and bouncing the light back onto his face. We could have maybe used a tube light and stuck it in the corner, but I didn't have one, and so I thought of this idea instead. And we're just trying to create as much layers as possible with this little basic set. Just having the elevator doors and the ceiling in the shot, it just creates a bit more layers. And this can just be something that you as the cinematographer can say to the director or whoever, you know, maybe we could put the camera outside here so we can see this stuff. How about we could put the actor closer to the camera so there's a bit more depth in the background. Maybe we can lower the camera a bit to shoot up and see the ceiling. We could reveal the character by opening the doors and pushing in. And it just shows the best parts of the production design when you try and add that stuff in. So it's not a person standing in front of a wall. With this first shot and a sound effect, you immediately know where you are. Alright, this next one of Our Lady, we didn't do too much to the light other than boom the light a little bit round so it comes in the side a bit more. And I think we had a bit of a bounce board coming in from the right hand side of the camera. Then we moved back around and did the reverse shot on our guy looking at her. We swapped out that spotlight behind him because you could see it hitting the wall and just replaced it with one of those little Aperture MC lights, which is giving him that edge glow. It worked well as a backlight, but it was a bit too small and saucy as a front light when we were shooting from the front. Then just to add a little bit more spice to the shot, we just turned on this RGB panel that was already set up in the studio, and that just gave him another edge light.
Spearmint, milk.
We also put a bounce board just out to the left of the frame, amplifying the light on his right hand side. Then this close-up of her was another place to show the set in the reflection of her glasses, and we just found the right spot for her to tilt her head and lined it up with the camera. There's a couple other extra shots we got while we're there too. This top-down shot was on the Komodo on the end of a C-stand. And then this other dolly shot coming back too, but the lighting was pretty much the same.
Good stuff.
I remember other times I've lit this set before and it was a great deal more lighting and gear. These are 3 big Kino flow tubes going to the top, then there's these other panels, but we were shooting a bit more in and out of the lift, in a hallway that was built out the front, and just more in and around the set really. These are some frame grabs from other shoots that I've done, and this is a bit more of a commercially kind of look, but I still prefer that simple approach of just having the least amount of gear as possible. Alright, so I'll quickly run over as well how I color graded this. It's not going to be too in depth, but I'll just show you what I did. I was using this frame grab as a bit of a reference. It's kind of greeny, muted. I like the colors, but I wanted just a little bit more saturation. And sometimes I go way heavier on the grade and have lots more nodes, but I didn't feel like I needed much for this. I've just moved the temp, exposure, and contrast around a little bit. So this was the red raw file. Then with the Rec 709, then I've just pushed it a little bit more green and blue, pulled it down a little bit, then added a little bit more blue to the shadows and a small amount of grain, which is probably not too noticeable on YouTube unless you're watching it in 4K. And then these other clips are pretty much the same. I've just copied the color across and altered it a little bit if it's needed. All right, that's gonna do it for this one. Hopefully you got something out of that, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, that's pretty good.